every couple of years, the left decides I'm the villain of the week, so I got to take my lumps, and it used to bother me, and this and that, and also points out that when that happens, she'll get messages from the right wing who are like, "Oh man, I saw what's happening on Twitter. You want to come on my podcast? You want to like?" And I'm sure that's the pipeline that Anna Kasparian went down. Like that's literally the one she did. Okay, yes, I'm going on your podcast because there's money over there. There's money over there. There's career future over there. She saw what happened to Dave Rubin. She thought, I'm sorry, but she thought Dave Rubin was going to like crash and burn and no one was going to. He's still living comfortably.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah. I think Anna Kasparian, too, is just desperation for relevance. I mean, she just hit a ceiling. She's just not that bright. She's, was good on camera for a while and was ahead of the curve in terms of mainstream politics for a while there. She was Cenk's best buddy, so she had some credibility. But no, I mean, Anna Kasparian is not, like a lot of influencers that we know that are on this space that are way better because they're not narcissists, unlike Anna and Cenk. So there is something to be said for people who work on camera. There is always a little bit of narcissism involved in anything to do with the camera, but narcissists can attract other narcissists, especially when they're the same kind. They're different kinds of narcissists that I won't go into.
And she's, speaking of Cenk and Anna, their whole thing is don't cut off any debate, right? They even talk about in this interview. Joe Rogan's thing is I'll talk to anybody. Bill Maher, I'll talk to anybody. I have left and right on my thing. But there's some people you won't invite. And the key difference is, and Sam Cedar said it once from Majority Report, and it stuck with me. I'm not going on a show to be invited back on that show. A lot of these people are. They want that relationship. They want return. They just want to get the motion so they can get some people to sign up for whatever, buy their thing.
Fame, yeah.
When Sam, nobody criticized. Let's play this clip first. This is about debating the right wing.
I used to think this was possible. I mean, I used to go on these debates even with right. So there was two problems with it, with debating right wing people. One is that the right wing people they're not interested in participating in a Habermasian in public square. They're interested in owning you for clicks, right?
Damn it.
Yeah. The second, and then the second problem is that your own leftist audience feels betrayed that you dared talk to someone on the right because they suggest that maybe means you're betraying them and you're maybe thinking of going over to the right because why would you talk to someone on the right if you weren't on the right?
Right.
It's very hard to overcome this guilt by association thing.
But that's the point I wanted to contend with because, damn it. Because when Sam Cedar went on Tim Pool, when Sam Cedar went on PBD podcast, when Emma Vinglin went on Tim Pool or CNN, they don't get criticized for platforming them or you're going into their because they go in there, fucking blast their fucking Uzi with facts and logic and walk out of a bloody fucking room. And they don't get invited back.
Their appearances don't really affect change is the tragedy because Sam Cedar did about as well as he possibly could on the PBD podcast. And he also went on Jubilee and killed it as much as he could. But it didn't make Sam Cedar a household name.
Because they don't invite him back because, it's kind of breaking the facade of the entire structure of debate. This is what Jon Stewart did a decade ago, going on CNN Crossfire with Tucker Carlson and Paul Begala being
15 years ago.
Yeah, you are not helping America doing this. There's commercial breaks. So all you're doing is trying to get eyeballs for commercials, number one. That's the flatline basis problem with cable news in general. You're just trying to get eyeballs for as long as possible. Just like any fucking website now tries to keep you staring at Facebook for as long as possible to get advertising dollars. So that's the problem. But also the debate, nobody comes to a conclusion. Nobody their mind is changed. They go, you were right on this. Here's the evidence of why.
No,
it doesn't matter. It's entertainment.
Like if Piers Morgan were the best version of himself, he would be just the fact checker. He would be just like, okay, wait, or he would be like a benevolent dictator and only say, okay, you stop talking, you talk. He would be like that. That is actually a productive show. There has
And
to be kind of a sergeant of arms.
And you know this from doing like debates in college and stuff, and I assume because you're such a good orator when you make your videos. Again, folks, check out American Wasp on YouTube. Those essays, those video essays, are college level, should be played in college classrooms level essays. And again, in the mold of not necessarily, you're not dressing up in costume and stuff like ContraPoints, but in the mold of that bread tube era, but much more aggressive and in your face. And I really appreciate your videos, man. But this kind of like, exactly, like the right, a debate is entertainment. It is
right.
like Ben Shapiro has proven, or Steven Crowder or Charlie Kirk. It is something to get clicks. We're not trying to change anyone's minds, really, other than dunking on people whose opinions we don't like. So if we dunk on them and make fun of them, it's as deep as a rap battle, which is not deep at all. Okay, Drake's last diss to Kendrick was "Show me proof of all the stuff you alleged." And you know why it didn't hit? Because nobody gives a fuck about proof. It's not about proof. When Tupac said to Biggie, "I fuck your bitch," like nobody said, "Hey, Faith Evans, did you actually have sex with Tupac?" It doesn't matter. It's the delivery of the line. It's how it made people feel.
Sure.
That's what matters. That's what a debate is. And that's why it can be dangerous if you're just doing it for entertainment purposes, doing the Anna Kasparian, her take, which is falling apart now, or
No,
like
I mean, I don't
anything.
I think the debate is warfare now. I mean, like people say, "Oh, you're making an ad hominem attack." Yeah, I am making an ad hominem attack.
Yeah.
It's not a fallacy if it's by itself.
If I call you a fucking idiot, it's because I think you're a fucking idiot. I don't give a shit if it makes logical sense to call you an idiot right now.
Well, I go with Confederate flag waving, Bible beating gun nut. That's my favorite term for MAGA because it just groups all the threes together. Manipulated by the heartless one percenters. Speaking of one percenters, do we want to switch over to my background or does it matter? I don't care.
Let's keep it for the rest of this segment because I want to finish out this segment.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that
we can keep it for the whole hour. I don't care.
But yeah, so this next piece is something that I vehemently disagree with. And they're talking about a strategy and how to communicate about trans issues, I think.
Jobs guarantee and repeal 230 for platforms.
Oh, they're talking about like platforms and 230, but it doesn't matter. Here's the point.
The trick would be to find a way to sell this to the public in a way that doesn't seem like, that can't be so easily framed as like authoritarian leftist takeover of free speech.
I got a suggestion.
Yeah?
You flip the trans thing. They're coming for your kids. The platforms.
Yes. No, that's actually...
Now, they're talking about how to regulate platforms and maybe you got to trick the populace. I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and fucking tired of lefties, liberal, whatever, being so concerned with how the right is going to frame something. Earlier in this interview, she says, big profile people shouldn't talk about trans issues because the right is always talking about it. And it's more effective if you just point out that the right is obsessed with it instead of you trying to counter message by talking about it so much as well. And I kind of half agree with that. Sure. But you also have to talk about it. Zoran Mamdani talked about it. Graham Plattner talked about it, but talked about it in that trans people are our neighbors. We're going to fight for their rights like we're going to fight for all your rights. Inclusiveness. Include them. Wrap your arms around them. Go like, I don't care what the fuck, I don't care when somebody gets a tattoo. I don't care when somebody gets gender affirming care.
But you got to come up with a line. This is my political marketing. Remember, politics is Star Wars, policy is Star Trek, political marketing is Jurassic Park meets Inception. So this is the Inception part, based on what you just said. I would say to conservatives struggling with the trans issue, you don't have to understand it. You just have to accept it. It's no different than what we went through with gays 20 years ago, where it was like, you don't have to approve of their lifestyle. You don't have to associate with them, but you have to admit that they're human beings and that deserve equal rights.
You didn't even have to do that, dude. You just have to like serve them at your establishment if you own a gas station. You can't say you can't come here because you're gay. Like,
so
you don't even have to like them.
So this Groove Dragon, thank you for this. Here's a line: trans rights are human rights. I've heard this before. I think mine is better because it addresses the conservatives directly in a specific way, that something that they need to do. It's a call to action. Just accept the trans people for who they are. You will never understand it. You will never understand
but again,
to have that situation.
It's just like Wiggles said earlier. It's freedom. It's freedom.
Yes. Yeah,
do they have the freedom to live how they want to live?
Right.
And they're not coming after your children. Again, framing anything as they're coming after your children. They've been doing that for fucking time immemorial.
Salem witch trials. Dude.
It's Salem witch trials. It's fucking bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's always bullshit. So again, if someone's coming after Sesame Street, or if someone's saying, think about the children, it's always bullshit. I learned that shit from the fucking Simpsons. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is the last piece of this interview that I want to talk about. And then I want to transition it into the Hassan stuff and then wrap up this whole segment, because I'm talking a lot about ContraPoints, and I want to talk a little bit about Hassan. Again, I don't like it. I don't like talking about him. I don't want to, but it's a topic of conversation, and it's important. And this is her talking about the arc of history here.
Particular has to do with, well, I used to have a very like progressive like idea of the arc of history, like, and I think that's the product of, you know, the first election I voted in was 2008.
Okay.
Obama winning that year.
Yeah.
I mean, now like Obama has lost so much reputation among people on the left that it's like hard to explain how it felt in 2008.
I remember that.
But it was, I mean, it was like 15s that were on Mamdani's.
People were partying in the street.
They were partying in the street, and it felt like, I mean, I think of that like Hunter S. Thompson line about how it felt to be in the summer of, you know, 68 or whatever. And it was like this inevitable sense of like good triumphing over evil, and that like, you know, well, like racism was over, and now like we were just going to live.
That worked out great.
Yeah. And then 2016 happened.
So she goes on to say that like the mood was, and you could tell me if you felt this at the time, because I was in a different camp, but she says the mood was, we're going to have Obama, and then it's going to be a slightly more socially progressive person, and then a slightly more, and just keep progressing.
Getting better, right.
And my mood at the time was contrarian. I didn't know shit about what was going on. I knew it was an election. I knew it was this guy and John McCain and Sarah. I'm watching this through Saturday Night Live, effectively, that election. I did not vote in that election, even though that was the first election I could vote in. I thought, you're all getting conned. This is going to be it's another president. Really? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. My thing was, it doesn't fucking matter. It's like South Park. Like a lot of my shit was informed by South Park, and was like, it's a turd sandwich versus a douche. Both of them are going to suck. You don't like it. It sucks. It doesn't matter if you vote, because what's the difference? Oh, even if it's a close election, it's still thousands of votes. So if I don't vote, it's not going to fucking make a difference. Like, that was my thing. And again, I'm being contrarian. People around me in college are excited about Obama, so I feel the need to shit all over their fucking hopes and dreams. That's me being a fucking asshole. But again, that I think what it was, he was a black guy. He was a black guy. He knew how to use Facebook. He's slightly younger than all the other fucking crypt keepers in Congress and the Senate. And it felt like hope and change. I'm a slick talker. I'm a black dude, so I'm the actual black president, but not too black. I got Joe Biden with me, and I'm So this idea of I mean, here's where I really wanted to lead into, like, all of this led to Joe Manchin. Former Senator Joe Manchin formally endorses Susan Collins for re-election in Maine.
That'll hurt her.
While Hassan is out there in St. Louis campaigning with Cori Bush.
Good.
This is the Jam podcast. I don't know if you know about the Jam podcast.
Yeah, I know.
They're great.
Yeah.
I just want to play this clip from them. I think the mood is changing, and ContraPoints might be a little bit just watching it go by and watching her children kind of outgrow her. But like, this is the mood.
We are done with your Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan bullshit.
Yeah.
We're done with the 90s.
We done with the 90s.
If they roll Democratic Socialists and then bitch ass niggas. They rolling out like they rolling out Jay-Z to tell us how good capitalism is. Like, they rolling out James Lane Bryan or what the fuck that nigga is to tell us how good capitalism is. Yeah. All the niggas who've been caught up in the Bill Clinton 90s era of we could just take money from anyone and not have any moral implications are stuck with their head up their ass when one nigga proves he can do this shit in the biggest city in the country. As much as people even like on the internet when we'll talk about certain shit like to act like we're making shit up, we actually have been at the forefront and one of the loudest voices pushing this movement for the people and for people that look like us, because it just so happens that y'all 90s era model is not speaking for niggas like us. And the Democratic Party is in the bad position of, in this two-party system, you have to have someone that's in opposition. You niggas thought you would get away with being Republican light forever and no one was gonna actually deal with the factual realities on the ground. Now you have a nigga saying, let's do these policy proposals. How come I ain't seen none of you niggas propose nothing like Rahm Emanuel, Gavin Newsom?
It's starting to become very apparent that y'all niggas was trying to get bread, bro. And you don't want the working class people to actually see that, because what will that lead to?
So much so that you will tell us that the billionaires are going to leave.
Another great divide is coming, and I can't wait for it.
Oh no, the divide is here. The divide is here, and what just happened is they lost.
They lost.
That's what happened. When y'all couldn't get Hassan with the articles, you lost. When you couldn't stop Mom Nani from winning or getting his shit passed, you lost. Now all of us have something to look at and point at exactly why, oh, you're bullshitting, because you could be doing this if you wanted to. But you're not, and you have to contend with that now. And there's nothing I can do about it besides say the political era caught you in the worst time possible. This is not the time. Our politics can no longer be focused on being a grifter nigga so you can maintain your position in the thing and take care of your family. No, you need to serve because of a principle, and if you lose your next election, bye, see ya.
Peace out.
Hopefully you run again.
Pussy.
It's the fucking you're supposed to serve the people in the row. You're supposed to serve people in a row. Nigga, you're not supposed to be 90.
That's the whole point of a politician.
You're not supposed to be 90 in that bitch taking kickbacks, freezing a whole generation of people out the political process.
Just having money. No, if you want to be rich and you want to be rich, you want to make money unchecked.
Lead Congress, go do TikTok.
Do TikTok, CEO.
Exactly. I think that's a pretty good encapsulation.
Yeah, it's good. I want to hear them drop names like Hakeem Jeffries and Jim Clyburn and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and I want them to, I just want to go on the attack in a very specific way. It's time to tear down the establishment. Yeah, the establishment is over. Their time is done. To wrap up, finally, this long segment about ContraPoints and Hassan and the mood of the country and where people are going. And again, I think what's happening is maybe some of ContraPoint's old fans are like, we've moved past you. And she's a little like, shit, that sucks. I don't like the way it's moving. It's not the way I would prefer. As she said, she might not like a Joe Rogan of the left, but it might be needed. And his FD signifier, yet another great luminary in the mode of ContraPoints, Lindsay Ellis, the old bread tubers, given a little bit. This is a great movement called Racism Has a great video called Racism Has Always Undermined Leftist Movements. He does do like 3-4 hour long videos, but he also does these little like 10-minute clips from his streams, which I think is very helpful because they're more consumable. So if you're like, oh, I've seen you on TikTok, I've seen this clip on YouTube, let me watch one of your bigger videos and get some better, like fuller ideas on these things. But this is him essentially reacting to Kyle Kalinske here.
Is hard enough. And then it feels like in the last 2 months, and this is what I guess I'll let Kyle talk about it.
Fewer people know is that there's also currently a democratic civil war going on. You have Third Way, which is a literal corporate organization. They are going after Hassan Piker and by extension, everybody on the left flank of the Democratic Party. What they've done is they've smeared Hassan viciously and relentlessly. They've called him an anti-Semite, which he's not. They compare him to Nick Fuentes and say that this guy is just as extreme as Nick Fuentes. And what they're trying to do is cancel the entire left flank of the political spectrum and say, you can't take these people seriously. The Democratic Party needs to be a right-leaning party. They need to be a centrist party, and they need to represent the interests of the Israel lobby and corporations.
So this is really interesting. This is really true. What's missing is the black part. What's missing is the racism part. And I wanted to discuss that because that's always way more important than all of my white peers realize until they text me.
Yeah. It always will be. It always will be.
Yeah.
That's always that barrier that blind spot. Yeah, dude, we haven't lived it. We never will.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like
I think, and as you know, a mixed race person myself, half black, half white, half Christian, half Jewish, I think this is an important perspective to get. This is the intersectionality. This is what it means. Again, yet another word the right wing is taken and poisoned, like woke, like political correctness, like whatever the fuck, freedom. Don't tread on me. This is an important message.
Until they talk to some niggas. So I'm doing this preemptively. So let me skip to the end. He says something at the end that made me come down here and turn on the camera.
We're about to see what it's like when the left actually has control. And all I'll say is the last time the left flank actually had control was during FDR's reign. And what happened then? Well, at his peak, he had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate. And he won 4 fucking presidential elections because Americans got a little taste of something called social democracy and they creamed themselves and they said, oh my God, let's only have this forever and ever and ever. Right? So the same thing would happen today.
All right. Right. Let's chat. I know. Let me just.
Said woosah chat.
I mean, this is not a gotcha to Kyle at all. But low-key, this is a big reason why I stay engaged with a lot of white leftists that I think are well-intentioned and fundamentally good and principled folks. Because the American left, the Western left, especially here in America, has an immense blind spot for the fundamental power of white supremacy and racism in this country historically. I've been reading, shout out to, I can't remember the brother's name, but it's a book I mentioned on the Jam Pod talking about Hubert.
The Jam Pod is the one, clip I just played right before.
Harrison, who was a black leftist in the 1900s. This is a recurring problem with the left. As the left wins, as Kyle is talking about here with FDR, as we get tastes of social democracy, what we always seem to confuse is why the left eventually loses here in America. Even if you just consider the left, Bill Clinton in 1992 on into Al Gore, Barack Obama on into Hillary, and Biden into Kamala. There's a reason why the left wing, whatever you define that as an opposition to Republicans, loses. And it's because there's never a strong response to the embedded and deeply rooted racism of this country. There's never a strategic response to that. White leftists and moderates fundamentally don't understand the full nature of racism in this country.
That's what he's. Oh, damn it! That's what he's saying. Is that
that's
once
true, and
white people see, the black people are getting the same thing I'm getting, I don't want that to happen. And then some person over on the right says, "Hey, you don't like that? Well, let me tell you how it could be different. I can tell you how you can make sure they don't get it, but you can have it because your skin color is the right color." Just like Contra was talking about. I lost it. But it all goes into the same thing. You cannot cede ground. This whole talk of don't talk about Israel, don't talk about trans people, or these are losing issues. They're not popular. Then you don't get civil rights. Rights aren't necessarily popular. They don't poll well, but it's the right thing to fucking do. And once people have them, like the Jam Boys were talking about, once people have them, they go, holy shit, I loved it. Why the fuck weren't you offering us this whole time? What the fuck is going on? Last word to you. I've been talking a lot this segment. I had it all.
No, it's all good. Yeah, we always got to qualify FDR's success with the fact that we were still really 20 years behind, maybe 100 years behind where we were or should have been racially. That just wasn't his fight. And a big reason why, and this is coming from a white guy, so take it with a grain of salt, but a big reason why civil rights happened and was successful was because of modern media. Was because other parts of the country saw what was going on in the Deep South and decided to get involved. Now, with that said, both MLK and X warned about the white moderate and white liberal, respectively.
Right.
So that's what the most insightful thing I've ever learned from studying black history is those two things, is that both of them agreed that the white ally or the white guy that you think is your ally is actually going to end up kind of doing what you just described, is like, this is the best deal you can get, take it.
Yeah.
You know,
they
and
can
like
be
we
seduced.
could fight for more.
They can be seduced. Thank you for reminding me. They can be seduced, just like Contra was talking about on that podcast. How if the right sees you on Twitter like getting flamed by lefties, they'll reach out to you and extend a hand and say, "Hey, come on over here. We can have a podcast conversation." They want to just get clips and farm you for drama for the day, but to you, it feels like at least someone's hearing me. At least someone hears my concerns, and just like they would back in the day with FDR was the comparison I'm making with FDR. Go, hey, you don't like that black person over there is getting the same thing from the government that you're getting?
Right.
Come over here. I can show you how you can have it and they can't. And really, we're going to take it out of your pocket and give it to ourselves. So thank you for indulging me with that segment.
No, it's good. I know. I just want, like with FD Signifier, he's brilliant, but I think I don't want to say this, but I think I'm right. I think his expectations for white people are really high. I think you know what I mean? Like, I think like I'm making the effort. I'm listening and I've got the books that I want to read someday. You know what I mean? Like I want to know the ins and outs of black culture and society to the greatest extent I possibly can. But most people are too damn busy and they're not interested in that kind of education. So a lot of these things that come across as maybe a little frustrating to him, I'm like, get used to it, dude. It's always going to be that way.
Well, I think to your point earlier of like, you don't have to agree with it. You just have to like follow the law. Like you have to accept it is, yeah, I mean, I think he's very willing and aware. And he talks a lot about Afro-pessimism and the idea that, like, no, racism is just never going to get fixed, period.
Dude, everybody should check out his videos on the Obamas. You got to go check out the videos on the Obamas because he really, man, he dishes some truth in those videos.
And he
has probably the best Obama videos I've ever seen, like in terms of just evaluating his 8 years.
And it goes into that black capitalism thing that the Jam Boys were talking about, like Jay-Z going on this tour being like, hey, I didn't screw anybody over. Chappelle, I talked about a little bit about yesterday, coming out and being like, hey, I didn't know the right wing was going to use my trans jokes as weapons, even though people been telling you they are harmful. You just didn't see it until now, and it's too late to fucking do anything. You're just trying to cover your ass going forward in your fucking career. But I wanted to talk to you, Deter, about some actions that are being taken, some actions that are being done, and how people are feeling about those actions. Virginia just passed some gerrymandering. This is editorial board from New York Times. A Texas gerrymander freak out. What's happening in the Lone Star State is not a threat to democracy. August 20th, 2025. Washington Post editorial. Virginia plunges America deeper into the gerrymandering abyss. The redistricting scheme was always a power grab by Democrats.
This is the Washington Post?
Both of these are the Washington Post.
Wow.
Just a couple months apart. This is August 20th.
Bezos has got his
yes, he does.
Minions working, huh? That's
Again,
disappointing.
They think you're stupid. You're stupid. So let's it's Scott Jennings.
Gavin's going to cash in on that when he's running. I'm the one who started this war, like with the
that's war. And I want to get your opinion on that because I think that's at least it's bad. It is bad. Nina Turner has been hammering this point. Like feeding into this is kind of harmful in the long run for democracy. But I'm at the point of like fight fire with fucking fire, dude. Like whatever you need to use. Like again, the ContraPoint's controversy. It's like, could Hassan be a little like more measured in how he talks? Yeah, but that's not why people watch him. People watch him because he's authentic.
Yeah, no one on the left should be doing any fake acting because real acting is about truth. So Hassan should be, everybody on the left should be themselves. There's no reason to perform. We're right. They're wrong. What I would reduce the fight fire or just an alternative way of saying it is just the standard for the next 40 years politically is that whatever hurts Republicans helps America. That's the thing. It's not good enough to stop them. We have to counterattack and hurt them so that they don't come back in the next generation. See, we got them pretty isolated with the silent generation and the baby boomers. If we can kind of push the baby boomers into irrelevance over the next 20 years and they die off, then we could really have a chance at saving the country. But it's going to be a 40-year war. And that's, you know, again, like we're back to, I actually think there's a legitimate case for me being the left's Joe Rogan because no one's calling for the kind of aggressive rhetoric that I am. You know, treasonous Trump trash terrorists, idiots, bullies, and cowards, Confederate flag-waving, Bible-beating gun nuts. You know, like no one, white trash fascists, like this show originally started on. Like no one is calling this culture what it is, which is white trash America. This is white trash America. It's like
this is the white trash administration.
All the stereotypes you hear about the South, all the stereotypes you hear about rural America, those stereotypes have been earned, y'all. And, you know, people wonder why there's so much conservatism in sports. Because the dumb jock stereotype exists for a fucking reason. There's a balancing act to be had with respect to evaluating subcultures in America.
And, you know, speaking of which, I want to get Boston Brian and you on a show together to talk about
That'd
sports.
Be great.
Matter of fact, have a sports show on this space.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. I want Emma Vinland to start ESPN, and it's you guys as co-hosts with Lumen, the four of you, a panel, just like ESPN. That'd be great. But anyways, this gerrymandering shit. Let's take a look at some of these right-wing freakouts to this. Virginia did a good thing in this war. At least they're fighting back in some way.
Fox News alert. According to the AP, voters in Virginia have approved Democrats' plan to gerrymander congressional districts 50 to 49. This could flip 4 House seats from Republican control to Democrats.
They are worried, folks. They are mad. Here's Scott Jennings on CNN, my favorite one to fucking make fun of. I hate
Scott
this
Jennings. Talk about narcissist.
Oh, here's Neera Tanden, another person.
Entitlement. Dude, real quick, Scott Jennings. So for those of you who haven't watched my essays, watch my very first one. It's the one that's gotten the most views. I talk about the core Wasp value as inauthentic, narcissistic social entitlement. Scott Jennings personifies that. So let's see what he's got to say this time.
Scott, what's your take?
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line. Even something as egregious as this whole thing has driven Spamberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in Northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these national Democrats and all their money came into Virginia because.
Wow, look at that. Look at the difference there.
Love it.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That
keep
must be
going.
Fairfax in the middle.
Just keep fucking doing it.
Well, I mean, again, like it's just never get too complicated, right? It's be sophisticated but not complicated. It's a war.
It's a
war. They started it. We need to finish it if the country's going to survive.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
and those people who are getting represented by Democrats, they're going to see their lives improve and go, "Oh, okay, more of this."
Right.
More of this. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, it's all good. I mean, you know, Zoran's huge for us. Like, we have a case study now for democratic socialism and the programs that he is espousing, and it's going to be great. And, you know, we're on a hot streak. It's just a matter if we capitalize.
Absolutely.
And
again, to the experience of showing people what you can do. Hell, shout out Jake. What you can do. Is showing them by example, like, hey, Kat Abou-Ghazala turned her campaign headquarters into a mutual aid hub. And now, after the campaign is over and she's not running anymore, what do we do with this apparatus that we bought, that we built? We're going to use it to highlight candidates around the country. We're going to keep streaming. We're going to keep highlighting people. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep helping people in this movement. And here's my apparatus to be part of the larger army, the larger movement, the larger piece of it. And this gerrymandering is yet another piece. Here's some more freakouts on CNN.
Do I vote yay or nay on the levy? I don't know because it's so confusing. But also, this is not going to work. Can I just say very, very quickly? We are in an iterative arms race that's going to result in no one benefiting from this. So that's a lot of moral high ground for Democrats to cede for zero electoral benefit.
You mean there's going to be, it's going to be net zero?
This year, yes, eventually
well, I guess
net zero.
But that is the point.
I mean,
for Democrats, that's a win.
Yes.
Had they done nothing,
it would
have been.
It would have been
we
would have started the game.
The dumb blonde.
Already had 3.5. But
so what
Republicans will continue to amp it up.
Yeah. So then tell your party or whoever to stop it. If you take the high ground, then be the bigger person. But nobody does that, right? So
right, that's the point. You take the high ground. The Democrats been taking the high ground for too goddamn long. When they go low, we go high. Fuck that shit. No. Again, when they go low, you take them to the mud and you choke them the fuck out like Dark Knight Returns. You fucking.
I just say when they go low, you kick them in the teeth.
Yeah,
and then when they're hanging on, and then when they're on the ledge hanging on for dear life, begging you to save them, you just stomp
on their fingers.
Yeah, and let them die.
Fuck that. Fuck that shit. We're not fucking taking the high ground. We're not being the. This is how they've operated. That's why they're complaining about it. They're going, you can't do the same shit we do. That's what we do. We break shit and say fuck you and win anyway. If you're doing it, we can't both be doing it because then the whole thing is going to fall apart. And it's like, yeah, motherfucker, we're at that point. We're at that point. We're going to let the whole shit fall apart. We're going to join you. You're shooting a flamethrower. I'm going to shoot one right back at you. Let's burn this shit down together. Let's burn it down together because then, okay, maybe it'll make you stop. Maybe it'll make you fucking stop or rethink or, as it's doing, making them back up and go, oh, wait a minute.
It's going to be a long 2 years, 2.5 years.
Out crazy the crazies.
It's going to be a long.
It's going to be a long 2 fucking years. And you know what? To end this segment, I think I wanted to show you this little thing. Look, maybe this will be in a different segment. Yeah, let me type it in the chat here. Nostalgia. I wanted to show this little video and get your take. This is Brianni Claire. She's a great creator. You should watch some of her stuff. It's like FD does. Like it's a popular topic, but I'm going to give you some real theory and some real like knowledge behind these things. And Brianni Claire is Australian. So don't be shocked when the accent comes out. But here we go.
You've also seen all of these 2016 videos where people are throwing back to like what a great time it was then. I'm arguing it was the last year that millennial optimism was allowed to survive. And I would say it's the last year that people are allowed to ever feel nostalgic about. 2016 was peak girl boss feminism. It was a time where a lot of women and girls were able to actually enjoy girly things and really get into creativity with makeup and openly enjoy it without being slut-shamed, without being told that they're an airhead by other women. It was kind of a great moment for this sort of solidarity, which we hadn't really had since maybe even the Spice Girls in the 90s. But of course, who is it that was making all of those Who Run the World girls t-shirts? Exploited women and girls in the global south. And everybody was thinking it was going to be the first female president ever. Like, there was a lot of hope. It was only in November that things really did start to turn sour, and people were shocked that Trump could ever come into power. But there was also everybody joining together to say, no, we do not want this, gonna impeach him. People had like this real hope that they could make positive change together. Personally, I think that one of the biggest pulls is the fact that it really does encapsulate this feeling of millennial optimism that people, especially Gen Z, would really love to be able to like get because they didn't really get to experience it like we did. There were many issues, especially around white feminism at the time and lack of intersectionality for sure, and we've definitely made a lot of progress since then. We genuinely thought that we had power to change things together, and we thought that things could only get better from there. Meanwhile, as we've learned now in the big year of 2026, no matter how much people have tried to push back, things have kind of only gone backwards. So to me, it's personally no wonder why people are romanticizing 2016. You've also seen...
All right, so that's just an interesting trend that's been happening. Why would anyone be nostalgic for 16 is the first thing that came to my mind, but I think she explained it pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. She nails it. I mean, it was like everyone was in denial about Trump winning, so it was just kind of this entertaining time. We were going through the debates and like all like, oh, this is all good and fun, and then he fucking won, which just was devastating. But yeah, it was the last time in 26, so I was 32 years old. So yeah, I'd say I was a hell of a lot more optimistic when I was 32 than I am now at 42. Yeah.
And then I think also just exactly like Gen Z, I mean, how many times we see in early 2020 when the lockdowns were happening, it was happening right around spring break and the end of a school year, and people's proms were canceled and formative moments in their lives, and it probably canceled for 2020 and 2021 and maybe even 22. Some schools, like, people missed out on freshman year of college and just experiences, parties, like socializing, third spaces going away, more and more atomization. This t-shirt, The Internet Killed the Neighborhood, I got it at the Marlon Craft concert last Friday. It was awesome. The whole theme of this album is about the internet making you feel like you're part of a community. Right. And maybe you kind of are, but it does not replace real community. It does not replace going out to the bar and you all, the regulars and you're chit-chatting about your lives. It does not replace going to a basketball court and playing a game with your neighbors or just socializing with your neighbors, period.
That's why we have a DSA meeting coming up locally, and I'm like trying to get on people to like get there in person. It's really important that we are in the same room together working on this stuff. And I'm getting a lot of resistance from other people that are like, I don't know if it's social anxiety, I don't know if it's like money to try to get there and get home. It's also, we do it on Sundays, which I think is stupid. I always thought that doing DSA stuff on weeknights made the most sense, just so you're not competing with people's weekends. Mm-hmm. I mean, 4 o'clock on a Sunday is just like right in the heart of
really. Nobody wants to go outside then. Right before the work week starts again. Yeah. Fuck out of here. But like, I mean, I've been out there doing some canvassing for a friend of the show, Lindsay Boylan. And here's an event. It was the first day of early voting. There I am, standing behind the mayor, and Lindsay Boylan. Like, it is a couple times I've been out there. I've been out there like 3 or 4 times. I'm going out there this Saturday again to canvass for her. I'm going out there on election day to be a poll visibility, to just be there being like, yay, go, vote for Lindsay Boylan, blah, blah, blah. Because I found community. These people are fucking awesome. They're super nice. It feels like I actually am making a difference in my neighborhood, my community, by supporting someone for city council. It's a direct politic, and you get to do cool shit like see the mayor in person.
I first just want to say thank you to Lindsay Boylan for not only bringing all of us here together today, but also for inviting me into this fight. Because as Brad said, there are many of us, we've seen each other in this fight for working people, with the belief that politics could be more than simply something that happened to us. It could be something that we did. It could be a way that we actually won the world that we deserved. And we know that world, that vision that we have of a city where each and every New Yorker can afford to live here, is a vision that will not just happen by accident. We have to win it each and every day. And so when I look at Lindsay, I see someone who has been, is, and will always be a partner in that fight. And Lindsay asked herself a question, not will it be easy? Not what will this mean for my career, but simply, is this the right thing to do? And we need more elected officials for whom that is the question that they answer to.
Yeah, Wanda, you're right.
I mean, that should be enough
politics,
that should be enough to get her elected.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Local politics is where you make the most impact. That's what I believe. That's why my first election that I ever voted in was 2021 when it was for mayor. And I made the rationalization. I've been watching a lot of Majority Report. I'm like, I should vote. I guess voting does matter. It's not just a turd and a douche. It can be someone. There is a third option, a third way, if you will. And let me put. And even if they don't win, I want to put my vote one more notch for one of the DSA candidates. I can't remember which one I voted for. That was part of the problem. The ranked choice voting, there wasn't a coalescing around a candidate. They learned from that. We had 4 years of Eric Adams. Then we got Zohran Mamdani because we fixed that fucking problem. Lindsey Boylan was part of that solution, literally making videos showing people how, with apples, showing people how to do ranked choice voting, make sure don't rank Cuomo. It was a huge part. I think that's like, hey, she helped your election. You're going to help mine. Like, that's the one hand washing another. That's community. That's politics. That's, I think, the nostalgia that people are missing from 2016. Getting out and touching grass. It's fun, folks. It can be done. It can be done. Now,
well, one of the more important part of the DSA mandates is the social aspect and getting people together and having that sense of community like you're talking about, because there is no replacement for experience. I know people like you need to tear yourselves away from the gaming systems,
yeah,
and to go out and grab a drink with some fellow comrades, and then you get into the vegan thing or the sober thing, and then people don't want to show up. But that's why you got to have a lot of different events. Like Coffee with Comrades is something that I know San Francisco does a lot with. Like almost every weekend there's a Coffee with Comrades. So, like, when you're a bigger chapter, you can do stuff like that, and everything that you do will have at least a few people show up to.
Right.
But that's the key, is getting growth, and that's.
And it's also just simple messaging. Is also just something I think that's maybe part of the nostalgia. Like, this is all part of this touching grass and communicating and not backing down and not trying to equivocate and worry about how the right wing is going to frame it. If you're talking about something, if you're not talking about something, the right wing is going to tell everybody, hey, they keep talking about trans people. What are they doing with these trans people? And you're going, and if you try to not talk about it even more than you're already not talking about it, that's ceding their ground. Just go like, dude, trans people are people. What are you talking about? Who gives a fuck what they do? Anyways, here's how I'm going to make life better for trans people and everybody else. Healthcare affects trans people and it affects you. Bathroom laws affect trans people and they affect you. And here's, I think, a great communicator in Grant Plattner who's talking about healthcare here.
Many of the answers to our problems are actually quite simple. We can fix our healthcare system by providing universal healthcare. We can raise the living standard of regular people by changing the tax code and going after the money where it is. We can provide good educations to every single child in this country if we chose to do it, because we would just put resources into it. But we don't right now. We already have anti-monopoly law on the books.
Yes.
If we want to go after consolidated corporate power, we don't even have to change the rules. We just have to decide to use the laws we already have. None of this is actually that complicated. The complicated part is building the power and the political will to make it happen. That's the complicated part. And we cannot rely on the systems and the political parties and the political apparatus that created this world to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves from the ground up.
I think this goes into the nostalgia of 2016, where Breonna Claire was talking about Hillary Clinton and everyone excited about having a new, we're going to have break a glass ceiling, and we just had a black president, we're going to have a woman president. And even after the loss, everyone's uniting and like, we're going to resist and fuck Trump and we'll make sure he's a one-term president and we're going to impeach him. And Robert Mueller is coming any day now. It's the same nostalgia as 2008 with Obama. It's hope and change. And this time, it's not just words, it's policies. Last week, we talked about Graham Plattner's tax plan. We got Zohar Mamdani here making changes here in New York, on the ground, showing you here's what politicians could have been doing the whole fucking time and have chosen not to. It's choices. It's choices. It's choices. Just like the Jam podcast said, it's choices. No more showing up and trying to make money and live as a senator until you're 90 years old. It's not happening anymore. It's fucking over because there's too much at stake right now.
So I would just expand upon my politics and Star Wars things. Politics is for politicians. Policy is for public servants. Political marketing is for assholes like you and me.
Yeah. And it's hard to be a public servant. It's hard, dude. Again, if you're not doing it as a grift to just make a bunch of money, I've been watching The Wire this year. I watched the whole Wire.
One of the best
great
ever,
show. And I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now. Littlefinger is on both shows. The actor who plays Littlefinger, I forget his name. But on The Wire, he's running for mayor, and somebody tells him, your job as mayor is going to be eating shit. You're going to eat plates and plates of shit. People are going to walk in with big silver trays full of shit, and your job is to smile at them and eat that shit. And then you're going to run for office again, and that's even more shit on top of those plates of shit that you're going to eat. And you're going to run that campaign for the privilege of continuing to eat that shit on those silver platters. That is your life. It sucks. Everybody from a sheriff down, whoever's in charge, I'm sure, and a local DSA chapter, whoever the head is, he eats all the shit. He or they or she eats all the shit. Everybody criticizes the person in charge. That's why a lot of leftist revolutions and movements and whatnot.
I don't know, man. Mamdani's not really eating much shit right now. He's getting pretty favorable.
That's what I'm saying. If you do it right, you can work it out. Again, ContraPoints was talking about this, like the higher poppy syndrome, or some like if a blade of grass gets too tall, then the other grass is like, no, we got to cut you off, right? Like, so she's been feeling it, the criticism that she's gotten from leftists. But I can't see how she can't connect the dots and be like, Hassan's also getting it, and you're contributing to that. But there's too much at stake right now to equivocate and to cede ground at all. And I point to none other than NSPM 7, which is being enacted now in some pretty terrifying ways. The first one here is this is fucking crazy. This is another like right-wing troll thing. But the U.S. Department of Justice is announcing indictments against the Southern Poverty Law Center. Our indictment alleges SPLC secretly funded more than $3 million in funds to members of white supremacist and extremist groups. So effectively, this is, I'll tell you what this is, and I think you're going to agree with me here. This is their tall poppy syndrome. Thank you, Skelts. I appreciate that. I think what's happening here is the long-standing belief. How many times have you heard the Democrats created the KKK? The Democrats are racist. Right. They were the ones against Lincoln. Lincoln's a Republican. They don't acknowledge the switch that happened in the civil rights movement during the 60s. They don't acknowledge it at all. Right. But I think this is like Southern Poverty Law Center is actually the one funding extremist groups. They're the problem. They're the problem. Now, this is actually because they went undercover. They would send agents to go undercover. Of course, they had to pay like subscription fee,
membership fees
to these groups. Like that's where this money is coming from. But let's hear from these pieces of shit, Todd Blanche and Kash Patel, announcing they're going after the SLP, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I just want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so what the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism. And over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they call them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain to do certain things. And so yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
So that's interesting because you want to, I mean, like, what do you want to do? Bring up the CIA on charges of terrorism for funding Al Qaeda and the Mujahideen in the 80s and the Contras in South America? If you want to bring up charges on every government agency or nonprofit who have funded terrorists to get what they want, yeah, let's fucking start this. You want to start this shit? Let's start this shit. But here's Kash Patel. You can just see how disingenuous this is. Here's Kash Patel expounding further.
The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front.
So they're trying to revisionist history Charlottesville and say it was the Southern Poverty Law Center caused that. Any violent right-wing shit, it's them. They're gonna blame it on them.
SPLC,
this is also, I'm sorry, what?
No, it's the SPLC. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's also a obvious like right-wing troll kind of thing. Just like in the first Trump administration when he put like one of the CEOs of Shell or an oil company in charge of the EPA. It's like, haha, suck that, libs. It's the same thing. We're going to sue the Southern Poverty Law Center for racism. Actually, they're the ones funded. But actually, this is, as Ken Klippenstein points out, this is the NSPM 7. This is the designating of anti-American sentiment, anti-Christian, anti-Trump administration sentiment as terrorism or a domestic security threat, so that they can expand surveillance and give Palantir the ability to put out a declaration of fucking independence. Effectively, they put out their own like 10 commandments. Palantir did, and this is actually what it's used for. This is Chiose here in New York. This happened yesterday. Chiose was about to, I think he was just going to primary either Hakeem Jeffries or Richie Torres. I think it's Hakeem Jeffries. And that we spoke about like Zoran came to the DSA meeting and was like, don't do that. And kind of like put a kibosh on that campaign that was trying to go off his momentum. But Chiose still, okay, whatever. We had a disagreement. I'm still on your team. You're still on my team. Still working together. He was at one of the Lindsey Boylan things too. But here he is trying to prevent tenants from being evicted. Now he is a councilman. He is a city councilman.
Be good for campaigns.
It'll be good for a campaign. He's gonna get interviews and he's gonna I mean, I'm sure that's what he's like, okay, I'm going to book CNN. I'm going to book MSNBC. Now we're joking about this, but like, this is serious. I literally have been watching Daredevil, Born Again, the new season. Check out my review of the first 2 episodes, folks. I'm going to have another review at the end of the season. But this is what they've been talking in every episode this season. They've been talking about fuck the police, fuck ICE, because that's basically the villain of the season. Yes, Wilson Fisk, the kingpin, is mayor. He's effectively Donald Trump, but like more competent because everyone is more competent than Donald Trump. But this episode was no different. There is another scene of them fighting the cops, fighting the police. They've created a task force, anti-vigilante task force, to just go after whoever they want. And this is just the NYPD. This is just the NYPD doing it in real life. There was literally a scene in the episode I watched today of a protest like this across fences, and then the police just start grabbing people and throw them to the ground and arresting them, beating on them because cops are violent. It's ACAB every day, all day.
Yeah.
But this SPS 7 shit is getting out of hand. This is the Southern Poverty Law Center thing here. Again, this is the right wing framing of this. Revenue before Charlottesville, $51 million a year. Revenue after Charlottesville, $130 million a year. SPL paid out $270,000 to a Unite the Right rally leader. They're saying it's all a grift. So they're even throwing whoever created Unite the Right. They're throwing those people under the bus, being like, fuck all y'all. I don't know if they put the Proud Boys in this situation. Probably not. But they're throwing a lot of these organizations under the bus and being like, well, we don't need it anymore. So we can say we're fighting hate and extremism, even though Tucker Carlson, who these motherfuckers want to claim is like, oh, he's waking up and he's apologizing for misleading people on Trump. He's been saying there is no white supremacy for his entire career, or definitely at least the last 10 years. It's not real. It's made up. They still say it's made up. So now what's the narrative going to be? Oh, it was all made up. What was that shit you were hearing about Charlottesville? It was made up by the Democrats.
Yeah.
It was always the Democrats. They were paying for it. They made it happen. Yeah. They killed that woman, Heather Heyer. So sad. She was a crisis actor. They're doing Alex Jones shit, who just lost InfoWars for doing this on Sandy Hook.
Right.
Fucking evil shit, bro.
And it's not going to be the last time.
Not going to be the last time.
No, it's not going to be the last time.
Yet another thing going on with NSPM 7, it's even scarier, is these smart glasses. I remember a couple blocks away from my house, ICE glasses are coming, specialized smart glasses designed by and for the Department of Homeland Security. Documents reveal. So again, Ken Klippenstein, always on the ball with breaking stories. I remember there was a spy store like a couple blocks away from me. It would sell like cameras and glasses. I don't even know if they had those yet, but like, you know, like little spy cameras that were like this big, and just there were toys. There were toys for kids or gadgets for Father's Day because dads love gadgets and whatnot. And it's not that big a deal, but it's a big deal when an entire department starts wearing them. It's a big deal if you're trying to hide the fact that you're recording, because there's a lot of reasons for why you wouldn't want someone you're recording to know you're recording. And most of those reasons aren't good reasons. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's spooky. It's spooky and creepy and weird. And not enough people know about this shit happening. Here's Jamie Raskin being asked about it on the steps of the Capitol.
$7.5 million in 2027 to develop smart glasses that it wants to use to give to agents and have them read biometric IDs in the field. Have you seen?
I had not heard about that.
I mean, does that concern you from a civil liberty standpoint at all?
I try not to comment on things I don't totally understand. So let me look into a little bit, and I'm happy to talk to you.
Again, why be mealy-mouthed? Why be mealy-mouthed? Yeah, that does sound concerning. I don't know about it. Like, I'm going to go look into it, but that's very concerning. Expect, if this is true reporting, expect to have hearings about it. That's what I would say if I'm Jamie Raskin. because I want hearings about this shit. Are you kidding me? This is crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong. He probably just felt a little ambushed. That's all. Those guys, when they're coming in and out of the Capitol and getting harassed, getting someone sticking a microphone in their face, it's like, dude, it's a long day. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Let me go do some homework and get back to you. So, I mean, he probably didn't even fully comprehend what was being communicated to him at that time.
Yeah, maybe. But again, like I was talking about yesterday, AOC and her kind of mealy mouth, like won't endorse
a
candidate in California, but you just endorsed this candidate who won in New Jersey.
No, dude.
What the fuck's going on?
Maybe unless you have another clip, maybe we should finish the episode talking about AOC.
Yeah, let's do it. I just have this picture of her. She did post, you ever try to code switch at work and fail? Ha ha ha, right? She's used to these pictures coming out, talking to her. She's yelling at RFK here, right? And looking, like good for her. She's getting play off this moment.
Where's your endorsement? No, work.
Exactly. Where's your endorsement?
Where's your endorsement?
She's been communicating.
She has not asserted herself as like the princess of politics, which is what everybody wants her to be.
Yeah,
is the progressive princess of politics, and use her sway to, help people like Abdul Al-Sayed and help people like, what's the guy's name, Chakrabarti or something?
Shykat Chakrabarti.
I think Crystal Ball has it right that there's got to be something personal going on between the two of them. But this is just further evidence for my thesis that I like AOC. I like AOC on Capitol Hill. And I like her to stay on Capitol Hill. I do not want her to be president because as well-intentioned as she may be, she will not deliver to the extent that she needs to. Yep. Nor will she be ready for the foreign policy challenges. She is completely green on foreign policy.
I think I'm starting to come more around to. I just there's no other candidate I can think of.
It's just Ro Khanna is the only.
Yeah, maybe. But I think she's like Crystal's saying, she's more comfortable communicating like this in tweets, in Instagram posts, and things she can control. How much she's talking, what she's saying. She's not, if she's getting asked questions, it's like that on the stairs of the Capitol going in and out.
Right.
So she can say something and then walk out and move away and get out there. I think she's effective and helpful, but she could be more. Again, why not just in the same theme of everything I've been talking about for 2 hours here now, you might not like everybody you're on the team with.
Yeah, but you got to get
you
down
have
to
to recognize you're on the same team.
Yeah, but you got to get down to positions though, and everybody thinks she's a quarterback when she's actually just a wide receiver.
Right, sports.
She's not a fucking quarterback. She's a wide receiver, okay? Mm-hmm. She's not executive branch material. I know people want it's oh, it's the best we got. Yeah, but it's still not good enough.
No.
It's still not good enough. We're better off with going with someone like Wes Moore who can be influenced, who can be persuaded towards things like universal health care, raising the minimum wage, prosecuting MAGA, the whole
and heck, you got
FDR
Tom Steyer getting endorsed by Bernie Sanders' organization, Our Revolution. He's a
know.
billionaire.
I tried to get the DSA of California to endorse Tom Steyer, and I got shot down. Real quick. But it's no surprise there. The DSA endorsement's very hard to get. I will say that. Anyway, that's our time for today. Thank you, DAP, for doing all the work as usual. Thank you guys for watching. And please check out both of our channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And never forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
Goddamn right, motherfuckers. You got to fight for it in the mud. In the mud. Take us out, Nick.